This is what the greatest thing about it. Like to win the game.
Coming at you live in the heart of Lincoln, America.
I said, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
On air and online at theticketfm.com. Here are your hosts, Jake Bakoven and Enrique Alvarez Clary.
You've done it. You've made it to Friday. You've made it to lunch hour in Friday, which means you pretty much don't have to work the rest of the day. You can tell your boss, I told you, pretty much just smooth on out, go and have yourself a beverage and listen to the Ticket Water Cooler here at 93.7 The Ticket.
Yeah, Bach said you could take the rest of the day off. So
yeah.
If you get in trouble, just blame Bach.
Yeah, and I'll take all the trouble. It doesn't. It's not going to bother me too much.
You sure about that?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, angry bosses.
Bach, you're going to get fired from somebody else's work.
Yeah, I really can't come back on me. I just figure, you know what? We're past the NCAA tournament, the least productive days, those Thursday and Fridays, but there's still the Final Four. So in honor of that, just go ahead and just kind of scrap the rest of this Friday.
Go ahead. You'll be good. You'll be fine. It's the second opening day. The teams that didn't play yesterday play today,
That's
including the Miami Marlins and one Jazz Chisholm Jr.
You're a big fan of this guy, huh?
Yeah, smooth jazz.
Are you a Marlins fan at all? Or
nope, just a Jazz Chisholm fan.
Fair enough.
I hope he hits a home run so we can Euro into home plate.
Why didn't they do? Don't they usually? I mean, a few last couple of years they've been doing games overseas to open up the season. They didn't do that this year.
No, I think they're playing down in Miami. I think they're hosting. I think it's down in Miami. I don't even know who they're playing, but I just know that the Marlins play today. I had to look it up to make sure. I was like, I could wear my Jazz Chisholm jersey tomorrow. Double jersey day for me. Opening day for the Yankees yesterday, and where they won 5-0 over the San Francisco Giants, and now today the Miami Marlins.
I like that. I think the best part of opening day was that Shohei Ohtani had a great performance, and the Angels lost after they took him out of the game.
It's a tradition as old as time. Shohei Ohtani, what did he go? 6 innings, no runs. It might have been 7 innings, no runs, 10 Ks, I believe. And the Angels lost after he got taken out.
I saw it was since 1901. It's the 26th time that a pitcher has had 10 plus strikeouts and no runs allowed. And the first time he's lost.
Yep. The meme that goes around anytime that Shohei does something. Hold on, I have to make sure I find it so I can read it correctly so that everybody knows what it is, because it's just hilarious. It's just some person tweeted this out a while ago. Okay, here we go. Every time I see an Angels highlight, it's like Mike Trout hit 3 home runs and raised his average to 528, while Shohei Ohtani did something that hasn't been done since Tungsten Arm O'Doyle of the 1921 Akron Groomsmen as the Tigers defeated the Angels 8-3.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. That's life there. That's why people were so I don't want to say upset, but like surprised that Mike Trout said that the World Baseball Classic was the best and highest performing baseball he's ever been in. And everybody's like, well, he can't be. Well, he doesn't go to the playoffs.
Yeah, no, it's true. Like it's just that's the highest level of baseball he's been a part of because the Angels suck.
Because he plays for the Angels.
If he played anywhere else, I mean, it'd still be probably higher level. But if he played anywhere else, they'd be going playoffs, possibly World Series every time. Like his talent is so wasted with the Angels, and it's so confusing. Like they've had some decent teams around him, but they just can't do anything.
They can never put it together.
Because it's him and then a bunch of other people. Now it's him and Shohei and then a bunch of other people.
Yeah. Yeah, the top of the league and then the bottom of the league is the rest of the roster. So we'll kind of follow it along, see how it goes. My Red Sox still looking for their first win after losing last night. I think Rafael Devers was the first pitch clock strikeout.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
that was kind of sad.
What is it? The Cub Marcus Stroman. These are going to be trivia questions, so be prepared in a couple of years. Marcus Semien, the first pitcher to be called for a pitch clock violation, and then Rafael Devers, the first batter to be struck out due to a pitch clock violation.
Not looking.
Struck out due to a pitch clock violation.
Pitch clock violation.
So remember that.
There's more ways
Marcus
to
Stroman,
strike out now.
Marcus Stroman and Rafael Devers.
Yeah.
There you go. Also, somebody for the Mets was given a strike because the person on first base didn't get back to first base in time.
Oh.
I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember seeing that, and I was like, "Wow, this is great! So many new rules."
Baseball's off to a confusing and fun start.
I also saw something along the lines of there were around 20 stolen bases yesterday.
Yeah, I did see that
because you can only throw over twice in a single at bat. So you throw over twice, and then it's like, okay, I'm gonna steal on this next pitch.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna go.
And that's for the time of the game stuff. They're only limited to two.
Because you'd have people who, you have a guy who is going to steal
But
a
I
base.
love
You
that-
throw over like 5 times.
That's part of the home crowd turning on the pitcher, though. That's the fun.
Yeah, they're like,
fun
okay,
portion,
come on.
If he keeps doing it, you just start booing him and getting all loud. But I guess now we'll just have a bunch of stolen bases, which in my mind makes baseball more exciting.
At one point, I don't
That's a good
remember I don't remember the name. I should know the name because he's like an all-star for the Braves. Went to steal. He got thrown over twice. Didn't get picked off. So then the first time he went to steal, he slipped, and then he went back to first. And then the second time, everybody knew it was coming because he tried it the first time. He got to the base.
Yeah.
He's still second. So it's going to happen. It's going to be something that probably explodes this season. Maybe they'll look into that after this season, maybe even during the season, because there's going to be a ton of stolen bases, or catchers are going to get their arms challenged a lot this season. So we're going to see who truly is the best defensive catcher this season.
Well, and it's interesting too, because Major League Baseball obviously is very close and tied to their records. This could, like you said, kind of really change the way that the records look after this year, perhaps. So something to kind of monitor. Also, one of my favorite highlights from Major League Baseball opening day had nothing to do with the player. It had to do with the proposal that was not coordinated.
My
not
goodness.
planned. So a guy just jumps over the fence. I think this is the Dodgers game, right?
Yeah.
And goes down on one knee and gets
he ran out pretty
absolutely
far.
decked. He did run out farther than he needed to, and it's weird because the video of it, like the security comes out of nowhere, just decks him, Brian Dawkins style or something. But like without the video, you would think that you would have some sort of sense.
Oh, you would know. You would know.
Like,
well, the thing is, like, they panned over to where the girl was supposed to be. I think I did, but then they panned away really fast, so you can't even tell if she says yes or what. But the guy's like on his knee with the ring for quite some time, and then security comes out of nowhere and lays him out.
Yeah,
unless it was scripted. Unless he talked to security and the Dodgers, like, all right, this is what we're doing. We're gonna pause the game. We're gonna do this.
Probably not.
No, definitely not.
He'll probably get in trouble.
Yeah, he's not allowed back at Dodger Stadium.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I know that's what it is with at the Schwab now. At the Chuck.
Oh yeah, if you
you're only like you can't go back for like a couple of years. You can go back after a couple of years, but like I think you get fined and you can't go back to the stadium for a couple of years. So I don't know how they monitor that.
Yeah.
Like oh yeah, this person's not supposed to be here,
Just
but
put
also
on a mustache or something.
Oh well. Oh, something happened?
Big news.
Okay.
Jazz Shelley returns to Nebraska.
Really?
Wow, I was wrong.
You completely flip-flopped.
I was so wrong.
You completely flip-flopped.
I did.
Izzy Bourne leaves. Jazz Shelley returns.
Perfect.
There we go.
That's pretty big.
That is amazing news.
That's huge.
That is massive for Nebraska. Because
don't forget they have McDonald's All-American recruits coming in next year as well.
Mm-hmm. They got two. What is that?
What is that noise? What is that noise?
Is that his headphones?
Is that better?
Is it gone?
That's so much better.
Oh, it was just up too loud.
It was like a whistling noise.
I know. I can hear it right in my ear.
I can going on.
I can definitely hear it in my ear.
Yeah, 2 McDonald's All-Americans. You've got Allison Widener coming back, who's probably going to run point next season. And now you get Jazz Shelley, who is much better off ball, not running point. She comes back. That's going to be fantastic. I'm sure she'll be preseason first team All Big Ten. Well, I say that, but I believe that Caitlin Clark's coming back, so that might take that spot. But still, Jazz Shelley coming back for Nebraska women's basketball is massive news.
Yeah, so she says this, quote, I never thought I could have an experience quite like this one. My coaches have allowed me to grow and develop, not just as a basketball player, but as a leader and a role model in this community. I have been gifted with the most amazing teammates, not just incredibly talented basketball players, but even better people. They have made this place feel like home for me. I believe this team is capable of so much more, and I am excited to get to work. There really is no place like Nebraska. See you next year, Husker Nation.
There we go.
So there it is. Jazz Shelley.
That is amazing.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt whatever you guys were talking about.
We were just talking baseball, pitch clock, and all that.
Love baseball.
Who was the first pitcher to get called for a pitch clock violation?
My man, Marcus Stroman.
Who was first batter to get struck out due to a pitch clock violation?
Don't know that one.
Rafael Devers.
Not surprised. Marcus Stroman with an impressive outing yesterday. Cubs win 4-0. They have their first place in the NL Central.
Wow,
Yeah.
look at that.
Thanks for that update there. More the women's basketball update than the Cubs one, but that's fine. All right, we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, it is time for our weekly tradition to go and give Brian Munson a call. And this week, we've got some questions, including why won't Dylan Raiola be at the spring game? So we'll break that down coming up next here on 93.7 The Ticket. You're listening to The Ticket Water Cooler. We'll be back.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric is the call I make when I have a need for plumbing services. Whether it's for my home or office, if I need a repair to a water heater, softener, or even my garbage disposal, I know I can count on Action to help. In one simple call, their amazing customer service team promptly schedules a service call, often getting to my needs within a day. Action delivers honest, quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
If you're not sure what your evening plans are and want to change things up, look no further than Craft Axe Throwing. Whether for a date night, an evening with friends, or even a private party, you're sure to make memories at Craft Axe Throwing. Trained instructors help make things easy to understand, and a stock bar makes it a great hangout spot. With 13 throwing lanes, there's plenty of opportunity to reserve your spot today. Choose the Lincoln location at craftaxethrowing.com to book a lane, or call 402-802-9696. Craft Axe Throwing at 18th and N.
Hi, Sean Callahan here with Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and it is Truck Month at Koppel, and we are pulling out all of the stops for this gigantic event. The lots are starting to fill, and we have some great deals for you waiting in Louisville. Brand new GMC Sierra Light Duty and new Silverado Light Duty trucks. All trim levels have up to $4,000 in discounts. That's right, up to $4,000 off all new light duty trucks right now at Koppel, so do not wait. Now is the time to buy a new truck, so stop on in or visit us online at koppelcars.com. You must have a trade-in and finance with Koppel. All deals with Roof Credit.
Agriculture is the economic engine of the Midwest. At Acres Equipment, we dedicate ourselves to making that engine run smoothly. We supply our farmers and ranchers with quality John Deere equipment, parts, and service. We also deliver the most advanced technology and precision ag strategies to help them farm today and for the future. Acres Equipment, solutions for every field.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful.
I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman.
Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back in the future. Sauter Heyman Jewelers, Lincoln and Grand Island. SauterHeyman.com.
Constructors is now hiring for all positions, with laborers starting at $20 and up based on experience. Constructors has immediate job openings for laborers, mechanics, bridge builders, operators, and drivers. Start your new career today. Constructors offers great pay, health, dental, and vision insurance, paid time off, paid holidays, and so much more. Join the crew today and be a part of Nebraska's oldest paving company dating back to 1908. For a complete list of openings and to apply online, visit constructorslincoln.com.
This is Sam Griesel from the Nebraska men's basketball team. I'm here to tell you about my favorite men's store in Nebraska, and that's Gary Michaels Clothiers in Lincoln. When I went off to college, I purchased my suit from them and another when I attended Big Ten Media Day. Their fashion sense, clothing knowledge, and tailoring is unparalleled. Simply said, no one does it better than Gary Michaels Clothiers, located in Village Gardens, 56th and Pine Lake Road, Lincoln.
Look at your car. It's filthy and probably has a few dings and nicks all over it. Don't be that guy. Get it upgraded and repaired at Renew Your Auto. At Renew Your Auto, they offer tons of services: ceramic coating, window tinting, paintless dent repair, washes and details, bed liners, body shop, and more. Where can you go to get services like that all in one place? Schedule your appointment today at renewyourauto.com. See what Renew can do for you. The Empire brand is growing with ESC Fabrication and Sandblasting. ESC is your place for custom handrails, industrial and commercial painting, and more. ESC provides custom welding for aluminum and stainless steel and media blasting of all sorts. ESC has great attention to detail. They stick to deadlines and keep within your budget. If you can dream it, they can make it. Contact ESC Fabrication and Sandblasting in Waverly today at 531-207-9329.
Back to the Ticket Water Cooler. on 93.7 Ticket and theticketfm.com.
There we go. Get the drums rolling here on a Friday. Once again, I've given you clearance. Take the rest of the day off. Tell your boss I said so, so you can come and listen to the Ticket Water Cooler. You've got to find out the latest in Husker recruiting. And, of course, we do that for you every week with Brian Munson of Husker Online and On3. Brian, we've taken the sandwich out of your hand. We're stopping you from lunch to have an interview. Thanks again for joining us.
Well, I appreciate it. Things have just run together on a Friday, and it's actually good. I want to get to the weekend as quickly as possible. You guys are really like the thing that's going to set up for me the rest of the day, and then I can get into my Saturday.
Oh, this is bad. This is awkward.
Well, you always want to start with the best parts. So we understand that. Let's jump right into it. I know people are kind of interested of a story that was kind of pretty prevalent earlier this week. Of course, last week in the big recruiting weekend for Nebraska, but kind of what grabbed a lot of people's attention is Dylan Raiola no longer looking like he's coming to the spring game for Nebraska.
Yeah, and I think that, look, that would have been the third visit in 2 months for him because he came in the end of February. It's not a great sign. I mean, I think that we can all kind of agree that's not a good thing to have happen to, obviously, to the staff, to this class, trying to build some momentum to kind of get going into the spring game weekend and carry you through to official visits. But I don't know if I would I don't know if I would seriously hang my hat on that and say Nebraska is out of it by any means. I just think you're going to see more of these things pop up, and you're just not going to know how to read them. And there's not going to be ever an explanation about why things are happening and why things are going about the way that they are. So I think the best thing here is just to relax. I do know that people have noticed that Matt Rule is following a new 2024 quarterback on Twitter, somebody that Coach Satterfield recruited to South Carolina. So that could be another sign that something negative has happened there in the Dylan Raiola sweepstakes. But I honestly kind of feel like just let it relax and let this thing ride out and see if Nebraska gets their official visit in June, because that could be very, very critical to Matt Rule in Nebraska.
That's very interesting. Is this as the primary? I mean, we kind of think about those same four schools usually that Nebraska, that Dylan Raiola kind of had narrowed down. Is it still kind of feel like they're all fighting in there? Or does it feel like Georgia has become the favorite?
It does. Look, I never really felt like, and it's going to sound bad, but I guess I'll take a chance on this. But I've never been really convinced that USC was, like the lead school. Even when things were pointing there a month ago, I wasn't buying it. I've always felt like Georgia has been the school to beat. There's been some things that have kind of happened, things I've kind of heard behind the scenes, things that would just kind of indicate that he has that Dylan has an affinity for Athens, Georgia, and the Bulldogs. I think that was definitely showed that, when he showed up to the national championship game. So I think Georgia has always been the top competition for Raiola. I think that they've strengthened their argument now, and that's kind of unusual, given the fact that they already have a 2024 quarterback in the class. But Dylan's not going to be scared of that or anybody else that's already in the room.
And of course, Dylan was just one part of the big weekend for Nebraska. I know some fans thought that with that big recruiting effort that maybe there would be a commitment. Having spoken to you before, we know that wasn't necessarily an expectation. But what do you think? What do you think the takeaway is from the big recruiting weekend last week?
Yeah, I never thought the terms of success could be measured with the commitments at the end of the weekend. I just didn't feel like those guys are all very highly touted. I mean, if you were going to go back and point your finger at maybe a guy or two that you felt like could jump in the class, it might have been the three guys from Texas. It might have been, Flint, Pyle, and Buford. Those might have been the three guys that had the most likelihood to go ahead and decide to commit. But what you were really shooting for is like a guy like Brandon Baker. You're already seeing the fruits of your labor last weekend and the successes of your labor last weekend. coming through, because Brandon Baker has already confirmed, to Chad Simmons with On3 that he is coming back to Lincoln for the spring game in April. That's the number one offensive tackle in the country. And I think that there's a lot of guys that we're talking about, that weekend for the spring game, like Gerard Smith, Jacob Smith, Elijah Newby. There were Nate Frazier was another guy that was talking about coming back for the spring game. Those are the types of things that you had to kind of measure your success. You've got to come in there and grab these guys and make sure that you've got an ability to kind of get them to come back to campus. You were not going to get them on one unofficial trip from Nebraska or to Nebraska. You've got to bring them back multiple times. And following the spring game, the next thing is you need those guys to come back in June. You need those guys to come back for official visits. I know that some of those guys, particularly the Utah offensive linemen, they're talking about wanting to come back in the fall to come see a game. Totally cool with that. You just got to kind of make sure that, as this class kind of gets put together, you've obviously got to pay attention to your priorities and who's at where on the board.
So you were just saying Brandon Baker is coming back for the spring game and the big recruiting weekend and getting those guys to not commit to the university, but commit to at least coming back for another visit and keeping in contact with them. Let's just say, worst case scenario, Nebraska doesn't get Dylan Raiola, but they do end up getting a couple of those bigger name guys that came on that weekend. Would you consider that not a fail, kind of like a failure on Nebraska's part, or kind of something good just to be in the conversation for this long for the number one recruit in the nation?
Yeah, it has to be viewed that way. Look, I put it into 3 and Out last week. Well, it's kind of this week actually is a summary to the weekend and talking about Raiola. And I think people have to kind of see it that way. If Dominic's not involved, is Nebraska still here? Well, probably, there's at least a chance that would be there. But even as a guy like Dominic and his ties to Nebraska and being a legacy guy, we just saw Bobby Newcomb's son come off the board, not even visit Nebraska, committed to OU. And obviously Nebraska was very, very interested in seeing him. They went to Arizona in January and stopped by that school. So I think that there are still things in Nebraska that are endearing, whether you're to legacy guys like Raiola or not, like a Brandon Baker. And I think that those are the things that you have to go back now and you have to work to get those guys, to get them on campus. And I think that once you're able to get there, I think that Rule and his staff have shown and have demonstrated that they are putting things together when those guys are on campus. Those recruits are having a fabulous time because it's between the coaching staff, the transparency, their honest approach, the other things that obviously are on campus that all the recruits notice, like facilities and the stadium and such. But then also the Rule and his staff are selling them on Lincoln. These guys are all coming back saying like they were blown away. Like they didn't think that there would be like that many things and that they wouldn't see that big of a city and that it wouldn't just be it's not just a college town, and how it spills into downtown is so amazing. Rule and his staff have featured that. They have sold that. They are selling that to the players that are coming in, the recruits that are coming in. And I think that that's been like one of the biggest differences so far, is like this way to kind of package everything together. It's not just like facilities and NFL factory and whatever. It's, look, you can come here, you can get your education, you can be in the running to, be the next academic All-American. And oh, by the way, the city of Lincoln is awesome. Let's show you the Haymarket. Let's show you how this kind of spills out here. Let's go to this building top and take a look at over the top of it. And all the kids have just ate it up.
Now, we've seen Georgia do this thing with quarterbacks before, where they take the number one overall quarterback in the class when they got what was his name? Why am I Justin Fields? When they got Justin Fields, and they had, I believe it was Jacob Eason on the roster, and they ended up going with Eason instead of Fields. Fields ends up transferring out. How important is it for Nebraska to, obviously they'll probably do this, stay in contact with Raiola despite him committing to a different school? Because as you mentioned, Georgia does have another 2024 quarterback already committed on the roster, and he is, I believe, a top 150 recruit.
Yeah, you don't go back and burn bridges just because he decides to go someplace else. You take that supportive, nurturing approach that you can always call me, and you're making this decision, it's going to be the next 4 years for the rest of your life kind of thing. And, do what's best for you. You're making this decision, with the information at hand, and that's all you can be expected to do. And you went about the process right, but give me a call. If you need a hand with something, you can always call and get my opinion on something. I'll help you out any way I possibly can. Those ways of kind of closing the door and closing the file on the 2024 recruiting class keeps everything still open down the line. And the transfer portal requires you to do that. You need, and I've never heard of essentially Nebraska like slamming the door shut and saying, to heck with you then, don't bother calling me back again. I thought we had you in the boat. Like, that's never really been the case. I have heard it happen things have gone ugly, between schools and players, but never with Nebraska before. And I do feel like that will be essentially the kind of that closing off of the 2024 communication, if that's which way it goes.
And it was Jake Fromm. I was wrong. He was a class before Fields.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he was a class before Fields, and they decided to go with Fromm.
So you're saying you don't expect Matt Rule to pull a Bill Callahan and call Raiola a prima donna if he commits elsewhere?
No. I honestly, I feel like this staff understands that, and I think the previous staff did too. They want the guys to make the right decisions, but I think Rule and his staff have done a great job of selling the school and the city better than other staffs have before in the past. It's not a knock. It's just there's been a way that they have been able to kind of grab that kind of spirit and kind of ingrain it and involve and include it into their visits, into their recruiting program a little bit better. And I got to give props to Matt Rule and his staff.
Another thing that was announced is that Frank Solich will be returning to the spring game. We're talking here with Brian Munson of Husker Online and On 3. Brian, I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on that because it obviously brings up old debates and arguments. And I wanted to ask from you, because I think there was at least a perception in folks that I suppose that wanted to see Solich, move on and go ahead and have Nebraska hire a new coach, would say that the recruiting wasn't up to the Osborne level. Would you say that at that time? Because I understand that narrative, but I look at that like 2003 defense and they were stacked.
Yeah, and that kind of, it predates me a little bit. I mean, obviously I was following the Cornhuskers still pretty closely. I had just moved down to Texas about the time that Frank was becoming the head coach. And in all honesty, I don't know necessarily what I would either, what I would kind of, my takeaways about why people felt like, Solich needed to be replaced. I was at the 0-1 Oklahoma game. And the battle of number 1 versus number 2. And I remember some really good athletes being on that football team. And I do understand, however, the common themes that have kind of been there between Frank and Bo and maybe it's not the way that they were winning the big ones, but it was like the way that they were losing the games, that they should have been a little bit more competitive in. And I think the recruiting aspect probably has come up when it comes to people's knocks of Frank Solich, but I know how critical he was, because I'm friends with still a couple guys that played and played for Frank Solich on those teams in the 90s. And I know Tom was the head coach, but I think they would all be quick to credit, Frank Solich and what he meant to those teams in that run. And I think that's the part there that people need to focus on too, is how important he was to 3 national championships in the 90s.
Yeah. I also thought it was kind of cool, more from what he did at Ohio. It seemed, Nebraska's really blown up. Or I should say, and I don't know if blown up's the right word, but there's a lot more guys getting commits and getting offers at the D1 level. But through a lot of times through Frank's, if you look like at a Nebraska top 10 or top 5 guys going D1, a lot of them would get that shot from Frank in Ohio. Is that, do you expect that to continue with Tim Albin?
No, I think that there was, and the name of the linebackers, it's just escaping me. He was from Kearney, great athlete, went to go play for Frank. Had a great Nike camp at Eugene, just tested off the chart. Never got a Nebraska offer. Went and had a great career at Ohio. I feel like Frank was one of those first coaches that when he got hired on to go someplace else, that really recognized and understood the level of talent there in the state. Now you've got other guys, like Godowski had been doing it for years now. Dan Jackson at Vanderbilt's really trying to, get something going with him down to Vanderbilt, and before that at Northern Illinois and South Dakota State too. That's where Dan Jackson has been, and that's he's been kind of, he links back to a lot of guys in that area. So I feel like Solich really got the ball rolling and kind of opened the eyes of other institutions when it came to getting into the state and trying to grab talent and lead them out.
Yeah, I think that's interesting because I don't know how many people recognize that sort of thing or just kind of understand, Frank Solich's legacy through Nebraska extends beyond his time even at Nebraska. So I think a lot of people are going to be looking forward to him at the spring game. One note real quick. I know we kind of mentioned already Brandon Baker at the spring game. Is this, that's the top offensive lineman in the country. That's absolute huge news. The spring game, I know it's still a long ways. They're going to have a lot more time to get guys in, but do you expect some of those big names other than Brandon Baker's to return as well?
Yeah. You got Brandon Baker. Willis McGahee was going to come back in. I don't know. I don't know what happens if Dylan Raiola is not coming in. I know Willis McGahee, one of the big things he wanted to come back to do was to catch up with Raiola and see how serious he was about, going to Nebraska. One of the guys that we talked about earlier on the show, Gibson Pyle, who was there this weekend, who was also in Nebraska a month ago after he picked up the offer. He will be up there again. I think it's going to be another big sales weekend. I think another thing to kind of keep watching, guys, I think there's been a real lack of 2025 and beyond guys, to come in other than like Stone Saunders, the quarterback from Pennsylvania. I think you're going to start seeing a few more 2025 guys start trickling in here very, very soon. So keep an eye on that as well.
Very, very cool stuff. As usual, we always say always informative, and we always feel a lot smarter once we come out of conversation with Brian Munson. So thanks again for joining us, and we'll let you back to lunch.
Have a great weekend, guys. We'll talk soon.
All right, you too. There he goes, Brian Munson of Husker Online and On3. We are up against it, but we are ready to bring in Nick Sandert once we return for the crossover, and we'll jump into some things. See how his bug exam went the other day.
Yeah, bugs.
More bugs. No, we'll talk plenty of sports, including I do want to focus in on Isaac Trout. Committing to Creighton, kind of what that means.
He's already signed
for
too.
Nebraska. Has he? Yeah,
he's signed. Creighton already tweeted that he signed, so it's done deal.
That and the AP Player of the Year is Zach Edey. How do you feel about that after the Big Ten's just absolutely not doing well?
You had the best player and you lost in the first round.
Yeah,
to a 16 seed. Congratulations.
Interesting. We'll talk about that coming up next year on the Ticket Water Cooler 93.7 The Ticket.
If you're not sure what your evening plans are and want to change things up, look no further than Craft Axe Throwing. Whether for a date night, an evening with friends, or even a private party, you're sure to make memories at Craft Axe Throwing. Trained instructors help make things easy to understand, and a stock bar makes it a great hangout spot. With 13 throwing lanes, there's plenty of opportunity to reserve your spot today. Choose the Lincoln location at craftaxethrowing.com to book a lane or call 402-802-9696. Craft Axe Throwing at 18th and N.
Are you planting this spring? Make safety your priority. LES requires any landscaping or trees to be planted a safe distance from electrical lines and equipment to give crews safe access. Visit les.com/trees to learn more.
Hey there.
Hi, honey.
Uh-oh.
Remember we told Jamie and Mike about Liberty First Credit Union, how great their checking account and car loans are, the amazing service we get, and how we love being members?
Yeah.
Well, they took our advice. Jamie said how easy it was to move all their accounts and become members. Now they say they're banking with purpose at Liberty First Credit Union.
Learn more about being a member at libertyfirstcu.com. Liberty First Credit Union. Banking with purpose. Member NCUA.
Tailored Landscapes is actively preparing for spring. Things like getting new tree orders, getting equipment ready, and training staff to serve you the best we can. If you haven't already planned, now is the perfect time to figure out a maintenance plan for your yard. We're on the brink of spring cleanups for all of our existing customers and have limited spots left. We trim trees and shrubs when needed and only mulch proper amounts. Give us a call today at 402-432-2572 to set up a meeting with one of our designers and get ready for Tailored Life's grand opening in Bennett.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric brings exciting career opportunities for you or someone you know. They are now hiring plumbers, electricians, and HVAC techs and installers to continually build their professional team. They offer competitive pay and full benefits packages that include health, dental, vision, PTO, and 401k options. Action has created a positive team environment for over 50 years. Apply online at actionlincoln.com.
Spring is here. It's time to get back outside and into proper shoes this year. Brown Shoe Fit is the place to buy this spring with their sale on athletic shoes. Get $10 off any athletic shoes $105 and under, and get $15 off any shoe over $105. Choose from respected brands like Hoka, Brooks, New Balance, On, and 361 Running. And don't forget the trendy Hey Dudes. A new shipment just arrived for the season. Start your spring off right at Brown Shoe Fit, just south of 66 and Q in Lincoln.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is now open in Lincoln. Shop our expansive collection of wine, beer, spirits, and cigars at 5040 North 27th Street. From top shelf liquor to crowd favorite beer, Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits has a beverage for every taste and every budget. Plus, join our loyalty program to earn rewards and save on future purchases. Shop Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits at 5040 North 27th Street in Lincoln. That's 5040 North 27th Street.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now they've raised wages again and they're hiring for production operators at $24.11 per hour, which grows to $28.27 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $32.76 per hour with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or to apply, go to continental-jobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Integrated Life Choices has been inspiring opportunities for individuals with disabilities for more than 15 years in Lincoln by offering a number of services. From group homes for special needs adults to independent living resources and job training, you'll find the intellectual and developmental disability services your loved one needs to live a fulfilling life. They're also hiring. If you're looking for a more rewarding career, learn more about available positions. Learn more about services for your loved ones or employment today at ilc.net. Integrated Life Choices. Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock with A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. If you're looking for an automotive repair facility you can genuinely trust, we would be grateful for the opportunity to earn your business repairing your vehicle. We have ASE master technicians and qualified to work on a variety of vehicles from Hondas to Porsches, Jaguars to Toyotas, and Chevrolets to Fords. We pride ourselves on customer service and relationships, and we would be grateful for the opportunity to serve you. Give us a call at 402-477-4660. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
Back to the Ticket Water Cooler on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
A couple of notes from the NBA before we jump into this Isaac Trout to Creighton thing. LaMarcus Aldridge has officially retired. I thought that already happened, but it did happen today.
Nah, you got to make it official.
That's right. He's made it official. Hasn't played anywhere this year, but now officially LaMarcus Aldridge has retired, which kind of sad because I guess as these guys retired, the guys that I remember playing the Big 12 against Nebraska are going to start phasing out of the league.
Yeah.
Aldridge is one of those guys.
Dude, LaMarcus Aldridge in Portland was a problem.
Yeah, he was at Texas.
He's at Texas?
Yeah. He was like a year or two before KD.
Yeah.
And if he would have, I think he could have stayed.
Yeah.
If him and KD would have been on the team together, they would have won. It's not even a question.
Yeah, I think he only stayed maybe his sophomore year, but he stayed for a second.
Him in Portland was a problem. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Him and I believe he played with Brandon Roy, who injuries took away a great career.
Yeah.
But
Brandon
LaMarcus,
Roy.
yeah, see? There it is.
I haven't thought about that guy in a long time.
Brandon Roy wore number 7, which is the reason Melo didn't wear number 7 when he went to Portland.
Of course.
Is it retired?
No. Well, I guess Brandon Roy
Just to
said
respect that.
Yeah, Brandon Roy said he could, and he's like, no.
Oh, I'm not going to.
Because that's one of the ones where it's like, I'm not. No.
What if you got hurt in that jersey?
Maybe the number's cursed.
Maybe that's why I didn't do it.
That was a great Portland team, and he I'm pretty sure he left like before Dame got there. which
I think he played maybe
like a year or two.
Was
With
it?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, no, he
trying
played.
to
He
think.
played with Dame a little bit, but it was like
Yeah.
before Dame became Dame.
Yeah.
And if LaMarcus stays, does he still become Dame Dollar? I don't know, but that would have been a really interesting team.
And remember, he was a long past part of the last ditch effort for the Nets. Which, by the way, if you look up how the Dallas thing's going with Kyrie Irving, not good. They might miss the playoffs.
Perfect.
Yeah, Kyrie Irving continues to be a
As
problem
long as their pick isn't top 10, the Knicks get it.
Really?
If their pick is 11th, the Knicks get
do
it.
they have a
If their pick,
protected top
it's
10?
protected
Yeah.
top 10 pick.
Well,
I think it might be a lottery pick, a protected lottery, but I gotta check that
Yeah.
out. But the Knicks get the pick unless it's somewhere really high, which I hope that it's just outside of that.
The other thing to bring you up to speed on in the NBA and the NBAPA were kind of debating this one and done rule of the era. It will continue as of now. They were kind of thinking maybe they would go back to high school players jumping right into the draft. But as of right now, they're still going to do the 1 year after graduation deal. So you still can go to the G League or whatever. But
So it looks like Bron has to wait 1 more year to play with his son.
yes.
Did you see like on his list? He's like Bronny's number one for sure. Who I want to play with?
Yeah.
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 I mean, I get it.
Do you
I get
think
it,
he
but-
can stay in the NBA long enough to play
Yes.
with Bryce as well?
Oh, yeah.
I think Bryce is a
Because here's the deal.
freshman in high
Well,
school.
Like, here's the deal. I think with LeBron James, somebody's always going to sign him.
Yeah.
Like, he's always going to be able to find somewhere. He might not play, but he's going to be able to find somewhere.
But it's going to be weird because you have to follow, and it's going to be fascinating to follow Bronny's 1 year in college. But what if he's okay? Like not
He's
quite
actually
ready.
he's actually really good.
No, I know he's good
He's
for high
improved
school
now. He's improved
Yeah,
now, 'cause
from
it was
last
like
year.
Last year it was like, I don't know how good this guy
But the point is, if he like the plan is already out in front of him, go play with that
Yeah.
after a year. What if he averages 9.5 off the bench? Pretty good, But
Well, first off, he ain't coming off no bench.
well,
Bronny's not coming off the bench. But I agree with you. If doesn't perform the way that a
Devin
lottery
Booker
pick
came
would.
off the bench, as we've stated before. It's not necessarily.
That's
Well,
true.
that
But
Kentucky- Oh, yeah.
Devin Booker's not Bronny.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the James last name. He's not LeBron James Jr.
Funny enough, Devin Booker was my favorite guy to watch on that Kentucky team.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know if this guy's going to really do anything because he's got his sixth guy off the bench.
Yep.
But I was like, I kind of like the way he can shoot the ball.
Yeah. That was back when Kentucky had like 6 guys that were drafted in the first 15 picks every year.
Yep.
Yeah.
But no,
Alex
if
Poitras,
Alex,
not all of them.
hey,
none of them
he was
panned
good.
out.
He was good
Yeah.
at Kentucky though.
He was good at Kentucky. Let's see, Willie Cauley-Stein.
Oh yeah.
Yep. He played with the Kings when they were bad.
Yeah.
Eric
Isn't
Bledsoe was there.
Eric Bledsoe.
Yeah.
I
Never
always
forget the
forget about
John.
Eric
Never
Bledsoe.
forget the John Wall days of Kentucky.
Was
Oh,
that
yeah.
John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins played together?
That's right.
I think
Yeah.
Willie Cauley-Stein was on both those. Like, he stayed for a while at Kentucky.
Yeah, he played with
Yeah.
DeMarcus, I believe.
Yeah.
Then you had Karl Anthony Towns, like you said,
Yeah.
Eric Bledsoe, Julius Randle. Emmanuel
the guy,
Quickley.
the guy from Terrence. Oh gosh,
Terrence Mann?
No, who's the guy
No,
that's
he didn't play there.
he went to the Rockets?
No, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, Terrence Jones.
Terrence Jones.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Terrence Jones.
I like
Terrence
Terrence
Jones
Jones,
as well.
He was a pretty solid role player.
Yeah, he's
Is he
all right
still in the
league.
NBA?
No, because he like got out of it pretty quickly after a few years.
It's too bad.
To go play overseas.
Sad.
Yeah.
Then you had Aaron and Andrew Harrison down the road.
Oh, they
Which
were
one of
fun.
them actually was like decent
Aaron.
in the league? Aaron? Because it was like the twins. It was like the twins from
Neither of them
Kansas.
really
Decent
made
in the
it.
league.
Yeah, not in the
It
league.
was like the twins from Kansas.
The Morrises.
The Morris brothers.
Well, they're both
twins.
good in the league.
Yeah, one's better.
Well, Marcus is better.
Yeah.
Remember-
Markeith was actually better in college.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Who was the guy at Kansas that stayed there for about 45 years?
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about.
I can picture him in my head.
Yeah, Perry Ellis.
Yes,
Perry Ellis.
yes. They
Perry Ellis and
great
Willie.
shirt design.
Perry Ellis and Willie Cauley-Stein are like the same person in my mind for
Yes.
whatever reason.
He was at Kansas for about 40 years.
They're
Yeah.
the same. Just a guy who stayed in college for 12 years, barely has any hair. Even though Willie Cauley, I think, still had like a decent amount of hair. But I just those two are the same.
Perry
person
Ellis
to
did
me.
look older.
Yeah,
Armando Bacot is now going to be that guy because
Yep.
he's coming back to North Carolina.
for whatever.
So that's
reason.
interesting. Of course, the big news in Nebraska, or suppose around Nebraska basketball, is that Isaac Trout has committed to Creighton, not Nebraska, which is a story in of itself, of course, because for back-to-back years, along with Baylor Shilerman, is that Baylor Shireman, sorry,
There you go.
have now committed to the blue school instead of the red, coming home to play for a team, and it doesn't take too much to kind of decipher this thing. A team in a program that's a top 10 type of program. Nebraska, obviously, celebrating 500 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that as to look down on the program. I'm just saying that's the difference where the programs are. So if you're coming home to play for the home state team, it's not a shock. It's not. It's not a wake-up call or anything. This is just kind of how it's been, but it's somewhat of a punch to the gut, even though we expected it.
Yeah.
It's still just a reminder that the predominant school in the state of Nebraska is Creighton. It's not Nebraska.
Sam Griesel's more loved, so it's fine.
Yeah, I suppose so. I don't know. I think you saw maybe what Baylor Shireman had and did this year at Creighton, and now Isaac Trout is going to play a little bit different role, I think, in a way, because he's 6'10", not 6'2" or 3, whatever Baylor Shireman was. But I mean, he said it in the video. He sat down with a couple of people and kind of explained his decision. He's
Baylor's 6'7".
Yeah, he's pretty tall, but
he played guard, but he's
right,
forward
right. He plays
height.
Guard, yeah, that's right. Okay, 6'7". By the way, 6'10" still, 3 inches taller. Who am I thinking of? Maybe I'm thinking of Farabello.
Not Baylor Shireman.
Maybe I'm thinking of Farabello.
Maybe
one of the other
because Sam
guys that
Griesel
they
was what,
lost.
6'6"?
Yeah, he's a taller.
Yeah, maybe I'm thinking of Farabello. I don't know. Either way, somebody on Creighton's squad that they lost is 6'3" or 6'2". But either way, no matter what, he talked about it. He's like, listen, when you think of basketball in Nebraska, the last decade or so, Creighton's had way more success. So that's it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Nebraska was like University of Nebraska Lincoln was really a big player in this yet.
Yeah.
I'm sure they probably reached out, but I mean, this happened in the span of like 4 days.
Yeah, which is different from Baylor Shireman, where they were really going in after him.
Yeah, and I think there was. I think Nebraska was in the thick of it.
Yeah, mutual interest for sure.
Yeah, they were definitely. And Sam Griesel played a big part of that.
Yeah, and I think it is also important to distinguish. In this Trout was more well received coming out of high school than even Shireman is. But the point is, this is not the same situation just because they're both in-state kids. Shireman was like a proven college player. Trout still hasn't played.
Well, that's what's interesting, and that's what the NBA draft. It's going to be cool or fascinating to see kind of what Shireman's future looks like, because he had draft potential after South Dakota State at the end of last season. Ends up, I want to say he worked out in the NBA Combine. Did not sign an agent, so came back to college after he didn't really get good response from that. Then comes to Creighton, and he didn't have a spectacular year where you're like, all right, this guy's a surefire first rounder.
So I've checked a couple things, and right now I'm on Tankathon, and so far all of them have him second round.
Yeah.
The highest he's gone
it's probably like 40th.
Is like 56th. This one has him the very last pick in the draft to Milwaukee.
Yeah. Well, and he was never like a lottery pick consideration.
But you have to think about it this way. It has Keontae Johnson also in the second round at 49. So this is Zach Edey's going 43rd, but big men from Purdue never really go that high for whatever reason.
So we think Zach Edey's leaving?
This is he's definitely leaving. This is a pretty fancy looking draft right now.
He was the player of the year again. Which I did want to talk on that real quick. The only other guy to get a player of the year vote, Trace Jackson Davis. So the Big Ten swept the player of the year votes, despite having an awful NCAA tournament again.
Did you guys see who won Coach of the Year?
Yeah, Shaka Smart. So basically, your regular season awards stuck in the regular season because Shaka Smart and Zach Edey had awful postseasons.
Yep.
But I guess it is what it is.
Hey, at least Shaka won a game.
Yeah, Shaka did at least get past.
Right about that.
What, Vermont? And so that
was a popular upset pick.
I picked it,
especially when Purdue lost to Fairleigh Dickinson.
FDU.
But after you watch Kansas State make the run, I get it's a regular season award, but
I love Jerome Tang. So I mean, yeah,
it's just like I sometimes I understand the regular season distinction, but sometimes it's like Kansas State. That's that Marquise Noel. That's the memory of the tournament. I know Kansas State didn't get to the Final Four, but that's
Kansas State
part of what we remember.
Kansas State got into the top 10 at one point this season.
Jerome Tang should be the coach of the year.
They were top 25 or real close to top 25 damn near all season. I mean, aside from the start when nobody had them anywhere close, but they worked their way up there and they hung around the top 25 the entire time. Purdue was supposed to do what they did, aside from losing the first round. They were number one pretty much the entire time.
Yeah,
I think another feather in the cap of Jerome Tang would be that you, in your first year, you put Kansas State on notice in a time where Kansas has dominated the subject in basketball in the state of Kansas, in the country. When you think of Kansas, you're thinking of the Jayhawks, you're thinking of Bill Self, you're thinking of Jalen Wilson. Now we found ourselves late in March, later than the Jayhawks even, where you were thinking Jerome Tang, you were thinking them dancing in the locker room and having all that swag, and Marquise Knoll and Keontae Johnson, obviously, and those guys as well. So I mean, it was impressive though, but I guess it's a regular season award. I you guys know how I feel about Marquette, so I like that.
Big Marquette guy.
I like that call.
Also of note, Jalen Hood-Schifano, the freshman phenom at Indiana, going pro, and he'll probably be a lottery pick or close to first round pick. So
18th to Miami.
Yeah,
that's where it has him. Right above Derek Lively from Duke, and Kyle Filipkowski from Duke.
Yeah. So we'll see. And Duke, Duke's
hopefully
Duke gets back.
But right below Chris Murray of Iowa.
There you go.
Going to the Lakers, according to this.
Sorry, Chris.
I think he should go to Sacramento.
Yeah,
reunite the brothers.
Hey, honestly,
I like that.
Sacramento's
fun.
Sacramento's not bad right now. I mean, De'Aaron Fox is putting on, 20 and 10 a game. You have DeMontis Sabonis, who's probably the best player on that team, and then you have Murray coming off the bench. I want to say, I enjoy watching the Sacramento.
They are fun to watch, but they're at the 3 seed right now. There's teams positioning to be the 6 seed. The Warriors, want the Kings.
100%.
As far as not battle testing the play.
Here's the deal. You look at that like Tyrese Halliburton trade, and you're like, all right, maybe it was worth it.
That actually worked out really well. The Kings could still get the 2 seed.
Yeah.
It's Memphis. They could catch Memphis. It's possible.
Yeah, Memphis is weird. Memphis, I was just talking to my buddies the other night. Memphis finds guys that just aren't going to be very good and turns them into guys that
They're
are
just
really good.
junkyard dogs.
Yeah.
They just work hard.
Yeah.
And the Celtics, of course, destroyed the Bucks last night.
Good for
to
them.
win the season
That
series.
was big.
They're 2 games behind them, still in the number 1 seed. So we'll kind of see how that plays out. That'll wrap it up for the Ticket Water Cooler Happy Hour coming up next with these guys. Don't go anywhere on a Friday.